All right. So I've got lots of questions about growing taller. And so I'll go through some of that with these peptides. So peptides are fantastic for a lot of things. One of the things they help your body do is to just enhance or promote or make more of a normal bodily system. So like GHK copper helps your body make more blood vessels and heal blood vessels. And that type of thing. So the growth adjuncts or the growth cyclicogs kind of encourage your pituitary to produce more of your own natural growth hormone. Now, there's a variety of them that do very similar but slightly different things. So samorelin, which is, I love that one. Ipamorelin, I also love that one. Tesamorelin, CJC 1295. These are all really great options. Now, everyone's body's a little bit different. And so I have people who are like, oh, the tesamorelin works great for me, but, the samorelin doesn't work as well or whatever. And that's going to be a thing. And so trying to figure out kind of what the ones that work best for you are going to be kind of a trial and error that you're going to have to kind of go through. Now, all of them are going to help produce more growth hormone. Now, what we have to understand is that growth hormone and the most beneficial form of growth hormones, IGF-1 or insulin-like growth factor 1, your brain produces, the pituitary produces the growth hormone. Growth hormone goes down to the liver produces IGF-1. And so that's kind of how that one gets put together. So make sure that your liver's clean. That'll help get everything put back together. But you've also got to make sure that the base function of growth and regeneration is there. So testosterone is going to be the number one thing. We got to make sure that your testosterone levels are where they're supposed to be, especially for long-term regeneration. So a lot of people talk about the growth hormone analogs or cyclicogs as anti-aging, which is not a term we're allowed to use because you don't literally get younger. The clock doesn't literally turn backwards. So the term we use is longevity wellness. So if you want to look better, feel better, have more energy, all those things for a longer period of time, my whole thing about highest quality of life for the longest period of time, these are fantastic things to add in. A lot of people recommend that so they get better sleep and all that type of stuff. Now, the best time to use these for most people, not everybody, I like to use them before I work out because I feel like it gives me a better workout. But for most people, the best time to take these is at night because your body naturally produces growth hormone at night. And so giving your body just a little extra kick to produce a little bit more is fantastic. About 20 minutes before you go to bed, take that shot, and it helps kind of generate those things. Now, you're going to have to track this. If you get amazing sleep when you do it, great, knock it out. If it messes with your sleep, again, either that's not the right peptide for you or you've got other things you got to deal with. Usually it's a methylated B6, methylated B2 issue, catecholamine issue. You could have histamine issues, so DAO is going to be a big player on that. But anyway, wrangling that in is going to be kind of an issue you're going to have to deal with because sleep is super critical for all sorts of growth, whether it's longevity wellness or whether anything else. Now, I talked about growth because people ask me this all the time. Theoretically, as long as the growth plates in your long bones have not closed, so if you went and got an x-ray and you're, say, 15, 16, and you still have open growth plates, theoretically, increasing the amount of growth hormone that you have will increase the amount of growth in those long bones. There's a bunch of research using different peptides and using growth hormones and all sorts of things that has been very beneficial in showing increased height in some of these people. Now, that's something that you and your doc are going to have to kind of go back and forth on and kind of figure out what's going on. Now, here's the thing. Whether you're trying to grow muscle tissue, whether you're trying to grow height, whether you're trying to grow anything, remember, just getting the peptide in or the hormone in that says, hey, you should do this is not nearly enough. You've got to make sure that you're sleeping because that's when the healing regeneration happens. So if you haven't dialed your sleep in, you might want to try working on that before you do everything else. Base physiology is, again, critical. So you're going to have to make sure your testosterone levels are where they're supposed to be. You're also going to have to make sure that you give your body all the things it needs to bake the cake, right? So I talk about this all the time. If you're trying to bake a cake and you don't have any eggs, you can't really bake the cake. So if you're trying to grow muscle tissue or bone or organs or whatever you're trying to heal and regenerate, if you don't have all the amino acids, if you don't have all the minerals, the selenium, the molybdenum, the CoQ10, the iron, the saturated fat, if you don't have all the building blocks, you're not going to grow as well. So you got to make sure that you're consuming those things really, really well. And so that kind of brings us to a big benefit that we see with any of these growth hormone adjuncts and like GLP-1s or GLP-3s. So one of the things we see with the muscle loss that's associated with poorly using GLP-1s and GLP-3s is the body just doesn't have any drive to tell it to regenerate and repair, because these people are not getting their testosterone levels checked. They're not getting their fasting insulin levels checked. They're not getting their growth hormone function dealt with. So a lot of times a great add-on to any GLP-1 or GLP-3 is to obviously get your testosterone up, but to also use one of these growth hormone peptides or blends, because there's a lot of great blends out there. CJC 1295, ipamorelin is a fantastic blend. Samorelin, ipamorelin is a fantastic blend. So those are great. But adding those blends in oftentimes will help kind of smooth things out. And so that helps kind of move things along. But you want to make sure that you've got all of the nutrients, again, still coming in. A lot of times what we'll do when we're going to do like big fat, flushes or big, cuts, we'll make sure that they get all of the, B vitamins their liver needs, specifically extra bile. We'll use, ox bile or tide care, something like that. We'll give amino acids. We'll give all the building blocks the body requires to grow tissue, to maintain tissue, to heal and regenerate and repair, even if you're not eating very much, because your body can use the fat to produce the energy, which is your ATP, but it still has to have the vitamins and the minerals and the proteins and all the things to create all the tissue you're trying to either maintain or grow. So you got to make sure that you're getting all of those things in. Otherwise, this is not going to get you where you want to go. You got to make sure you're really well hydrated, because your body uses water to carry and do all that stuff, all sorts of different functions in the body. So those are going to be some of the things you're going to have to make sure that you're looking at when you're looking at growth. Now, here's one of the key things I love about these growth cyclicogs. Okay, so I'm bald, right? So I don't have to worry about the number one problem with testosterones and like, so Anavar, Winstrol, like all those fun things. The two big things you got to worry about with some of those orals is liver and hairline. I don't have to worry about my hairline, so I just deal with liver. However, a lot of women and a lot of guys have hair they don't want to lose. And so you can bump the testosterone levels up to, like in a guy, like 800-900, maybe 1,000, and to a woman, like 150 or something like that. And so they'll be totally safe hair-wise. But then they're like, I want to add one more thing. I want to push the envelope a little bit more. I'm working out extra hard. Cool. That's a really great time to add in these growth hormone peptides, because now we don't have to worry about hairline, but we've added in a whole nother level to kind of build everything else up. And the great thing about that is that your testosterone is not really going to make your bones and your organs and things like that grow. It will help muscle tissue regenerate, repair, and heal and grow, but it's not really going to change the bone stuff. The growth hormone peptides and growth hormone in and of itself, if you're taking like synthetic or exogenous growth hormone, those can create jawline issues, organ issues, things like that. So, if you look up growth gut bodybuilding, you'll see these guys with these big bulbous, stomachs from growing their intestines too much. You can use a little bit of growth hormone, and you don't have to worry about the excessive problems. And you can use your testosterone, so you don't have to worry about your hair loss issues. And so you can combine these two, and you get phenomenal growth, rounding of healthy, muscle tissue. So we've got a lot of women that we've started, instead of using Anavar, we've started coming over and using like growth hormone peptides. And those have been really, really beneficial at, helping keep the fat off while growing really clean muscle tissue and stuff like that. And the great thing is that what you see is that when you come off of these peptides, you maintain a little bit more of the muscle tissue that you would, a little bit more than you would have had you use one of the other androgens or anabolics. So these are fantastic tools. Again, you never need more than enough. You can get significant increases in growth hormone, IGF-1 and stuff like that. These things are fantastic. However, again, more is not always best. And you've got to have to be really, really hyper careful if you're going to do these, by yourself. And what's going on with your jaw? What's going on with, hey, I'm losing fat, but I'm still I'm starting to get kind of puffy. Like my stomach's not flat; it's kind of pushing out a little bit. That could be the fact that you're growing your organs a little better. So watch out for that. Now, it's not nearly as bad with the peptides as it is with like the synthetic growths and stuff like that. But it is something I would still watch and make sure you're working with people who know kind of how to keep track of that. because that's going to be one of the issues at these high levels you need to be worried about. At the longevity wellness levels, that's not going to be a problem. Even at the growth function, that's not going to be a big deal. Now, one of the things that you guys will see if you start looking for these things is, like for instance, CJC 1295 with and without DAC. DAC is drug activating compound. It makes it not break down. And so you take one shot and it lasts for a lot longer. People are like, oh, that's great. That saves money and this and that. I would be a little bit hesitant about using that one because your body is supposed to get things pulsative style. On a daily, like, hey, here's a little bit every day. And so doing that is, if you need to do it and you're just like, I can't do the shots or whatever, maybe. But so the DAC, if you're looking at what is DAC, it makes it last longer in your body. Again, one of those things I would be careful working with unless you're working with somebody who can, like, you're testing your blood and stuff like that. But the rest of these growth adjuncts, CJC 1295 is really great. It's been used for a long time. Samorelin is also really great. Epimorelin, like I said, is fantastic. Tesamorelin is great. Tesamorelin got a really big kind of boost because the FDA did approve a version of it. And if what the FDA says is important to you, then great, go use that one. But I haven't seen it across the board. This one is better for everybody. We've seen fantastic results with individuals with different use of those. So if you guys are looking for just another way of helping kind of build muscle tissue, help strengthen ligaments and tendons and heal, that's how you grow. Period. So you go to the gym, tear your muscle tissues down. You go to sleep at night. That's when you heal, regenerate, repair, grow the muscle tissue. So these things are helping your body heal, regenerate, and repair. So even if you're not in the gym trying to grow big muscles, but you're like, ooh, I would like to have my ligaments and my tendons and my bones, all those things healthy as can be, this is a great thing to start tossing in at night at low doses that you can then maintain the body's healing factors as high as possible. So, if you're looking for something to help kind of generally just kind of push those things forward, this is great. We've seen some benefit from collagen. And so if we're worried about skin elasticity and fine lines and wrinkles and stuff like that, that would be definitely one of those things that this could be beneficial for. So take a look at that. But as far as adding any of these growth hormones, these growth secretagogues, as a part of a long-term wellness plan is a phenomenal idea. They help reduce inflammation a little bit, but they really help the body heal, regenerate, repair. And if you've ever been like, I don't know, now that I hit 30 or 40 or 50, I just feel like everything's falling apart. Yeah, you've been losing your hormones. Check your testosterone, check your fasting insulin, and check your growth hormone or your IGF-1 or both. Putting those things back where they're supposed to be will really help the body heal, regenerate, repair. And so those are the ways that we push back against aging. And so this is where we talk about longevity wellness, the highest quality of life for the longest period of time. We'll go through some mitochondrial health and some longevity wellness stuff tomorrow. So you guys have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, drop in the comments or DM me like you always do. Talk to you later. Have a great day.